Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. There's a new video out, put out by Church News. It's of Elder Uchtdorf, and it's for women. And it's become really, really clear to me. I've always known this, but especially after doing this YouTube channel, you can't take these little messages in isolation. There's a bigger picture. And it reminds me of one time when I was in the Army. We were out, doing a field training exercise, and one of the senior NCOs was talking to a few of us junior soldiers. I was a specialist at the time in E4, and he was talking about his Army career, and he's like, you guys, when you see things like this happening, field training exercises, or you see other changes around you, you need to think about the big picture, because usually these things are happening because, big Army, which is like higher up in the Army structure, they're making moves. They're preparing for something. And, that's just kind of common sense, but it was an interesting little conversation that we had. And I think that we can see that here with women. I really do. So we're going to look at this article. This is a Church News article. See what it says. And then I'm going to show you what I think are a few key things that have been said about women and how important they're going to be in the days ahead. The days, the years, decades, I have no idea. Okay, so video, Elder Uchtdorf to the women of the church. We need you and you belong. In a Church News video titled You Belong, Elder Dieter F. Uchtdorf talks about how the women of the church can be a quote-unquote great blessing to generations. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints needs the more than 7 million members of the Relief Society, said Elder Dieter F. Uchtdorf of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. And by the way, that's kind of an interesting number, 7 million. I would assume that there'd probably be 7 million senior priesthood holders, like elder and above in the church. I would assume that it's probably like half and half, and then the rest are youth and children. I don't know, but that's just something to maybe pay attention to. We're at 7 million, at least when it comes to Relief Society in the church. Okay, in this Church News video titled You Belong, Elder Uchtdorf speaks from the church's Relief Society building and assures Latter-day Saint women that the Relief Society focuses on the two great commandments, to love God and to love others. Quote, so whatever the role is, whatever your place is, the Lord needs you. The church needs you. We need you, and you belong. End quote. The arc of the gospel blesses children, youth, and adults as they participate in the church and make covenants. Quote, women, whether they are married or not married, can be a great blessing to generations growing up around them, said Elder Uchtdorf. And that's pretty much it. So you may think that that's kind of simple, but they're putting this out for a reason. You belong, and you're very important, especially to future generations. So now let's head over to my spreadsheet called Quotes Second Coming. And I have a few other quotes that I think go along with this that show us the bigger picture. So going back to the year 2015, this is the October 2015 General Conference. And President Nelson at that time was president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. Okay, he says, and this is his talk called A Plea to My Sisters, something that he's repeated recently. Okay, after talking about these different presidents of the church and their wives, he says, through their husbands' final hours and continuing to the present day, these stalwart women have shown the strength and courage that covenant-keeping women always demonstrate. It would be impossible to measure the influence. That's the key right there. It would be impossible to measure the influence that such women have, not only on families, but also on the Lord's church, as wives, mothers, and grandmothers, as sisters and aunts, as teachers and leaders, and especially as exemplars and devout defenders of the faith. This has been true in every gospel dispensation since the days of Adam and Eve. Yet, the women of this dispensation are distinct from the women of any other because this dispensation is distinct from any other. And then there's a footnote that I included in here. Let's see. This is from Joseph Fielding Smith, Answer to Gospel Questions. Note, all previous dispensations are limited to a small segment of the world and were terminated by apostasy. In contrast, this dispensation will not be limited in location or time. It will fill the world and merge with the second coming of the Lord. It's important to understand, especially, if you're listening to voices that are saying that, President Nelson or whoever the next prophet is a fallen prophet, that the church has gone astray. It's really important to realize that that's not true. It's not. Okay, continuing. This distinction brings both privileges and responsibilities. Okay, now here's the key part right here that he's repeated now as president of the church. 36 years ago, in 1979, President Spencer W. Kimball made a profound prophecy about the impact that covenant-keeping women would have on the future of the Lord's church. He prophesied, quote, let me highlight this really quick. Much of the major growth. Why didn't I highlight that? Okay, he prophesied, much of the major growth that is coming to the church in the last days will come because many of the good women of the world will be drawn to the church in large numbers. This will happen to the degree that the women of the church reflect righteousness and articulateness in their lives, and to the degree that the women of the church are seen as distinct and different in happy ways from the women of the world. End quote. My dear sisters, you who are our vital associates during this winding up scene, the day that President Kimball foresaw is today. You are the women he foresaw. Your virtue, light, love, knowledge, courage, character, faith, and righteous lives will draw good women of the world, along with their families, to the church in unprecedented numbers. Okay? So I think that this is the big picture. As the church seems to be focusing more and more on women. Before we go on to the next quote, I just want to point out, I have this spreadsheet. This one is called General Conference Saturday Evening, meaning the Saturday evening sessions, because there was a change once President Nelson became president of the church. The first General Conference was the same, where the Saturday evening session was the priesthood session. And for my entire lifetime, that's always how it was right here in column C, priesthood session. That was always the Saturday evening session. But then it changed. President Nelson's his second General Conference as president of the church, October 2018. Then it was the General Women's Session, which had been held before. It seems like it had like a few different forms as you go back in time. But anyway, so it was the women's session, that General Conference. Then it went back to priesthood, then it went back to women, and then it was a joint session for that special conference of April 2020. And then October, back to women, and then priesthood, and then joint, and then women. And then for the last 5 in a row, it's been a joint session. But there was like a sudden focus on women for a few of these general conferences. It's really interesting. And then having us all together joint, there could be more to it, but I feel like there's something going on there, but especially during these years from 2018 to 2022. Okay, so let's go to President Nelson's November 1st, 2018 social media post. And I'm just going to read a part of this. He says, "We're just at the exponential phase of growth. And it will continue. The Lord has said, I will hasten my work in its time, and he makes good on his promises. My dear friends, we are witnesses to the process of restoration. If you think the church is fully restored, you're just seeing the beginning. There's much more to come. Wait until next year, and then the next year. Eat your vitamins, get your rest. It's going to be exciting. And it definitely has been, and I don't think it's over. But this short little sentence right here, I find astounding. We're just at the exponential phase of growth. Okay, so growth. Growth and women affecting growth of the church. You see where I'm going with this? Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see. Okay, now we are in the October 2020 General Conference. So just as a reminder, during that General Conference, the women's session was the Saturday evening session. And this is the session that this talk took place in. This is by President Henry B. Eyring, second counselor in the first presidency. The name of the talk is Sisters in Zion. So before this part that I'm about to read, he reads from the book of Moses, the part talking about Enoch and the city of Enoch and them coming to join with the New Jerusalem, at the time of the second coming. So after reading those scriptures, he says this: "You sisters, your daughters, your granddaughters, and the women you have nurtured will be at the heart of creating that society of people who will join in glorious association with the Savior. You will be an essential force in the gathering of Israel and in the creation of a Zion people who will dwell in peace in the New Jerusalem." And this is right after he reads those scriptures talking about the city of Enoch and the New Jerusalem, the two Zions coming together. Okay. He's talking to this audience, to these sisters, grandmas, moms, and daughters. Okay. This generation of women right now. Okay. And then, excuse me, the last one that I have, it's just a repeat. So this is the April 2022 General Conference. Again, now President Nelson is president of the church. And he shows this video. Okay, this is during the women's session. He shows this video, and it shows the President Kimball's talk. It was actually his wife that read it because he was ill at the time, so she read his talk. So it shows President Kimball's wife. And then it's a repeat of what President Nelson said back in 2015. So he's really serious about it. He's really serious about women and the role that they're going to play in growing the church and gathering scattered Israel. So when I see a video like this, You Belong, and Elder Uchtdorf is talking about how important women are, I think it all ties together, and this is the bigger picture. And it's very exciting. So anyway, that's it. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.